I just had a question about something you said, Elias. You were talking about because I have a client that I'm thinking I may have to let her go because she's so difficult that she's not reasonable. It's just not even reasonable. At this point, I'm just letting it rest, but I just feel like I may need to say, and we're just getting started, but she feels like she can run the whole deal. She knows what's happening. And the really sad part about it is that she's not even knowledgeable. So I just feel like I'm like chasing my tail, like like a dog runs after his tail, and he just ain't gonna. It just, so
All right,
step.
so I think people on the screen are going like this, like share the tea with us. So tell us the scenario, tell us the neighborhood, tell us price points, give us a little context here, and then I want people to chime in of how they would approach the situation. So give us some tea here.
So the situation is that this was the 3-in-1 deal. So it was recommended to me by my mentor, or my mentor, that they buy their property. So there was two properties, two people who needed to purchase a property, and then the sale of the house. Um, she came to the realization because she had been living rent free that, oh my God, I got to pay something. And she freaked the hell out. I mean, totally freaked out. It was like, I'm not moving. I want to stay here. And then she started giving me examples of what it looks like to sell a house while you're living in it. Right. So now she wants to sell the house while she's living in the space. And it's an older house, needs tons of upgrading. If whatever, just remove the carpet and just certain things to make the house more marketable. It's in Richmond Hills. Um, so the house, but it's sellable. I mean, meaning that it with some work, it could, it'll do well on the market. The price range is we priced it at 670,000 based on the comps and all the other considerations. And she's happy with that, but she doesn't want to leave the house. And so I conceded with that. Okay, no problem. Let's change the whole plan. See what do we do next? Well, at this point, she's not responding because she feels like she has, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this. So I just stepped back and just said, okay, when you're ready, because we submitted a SAM so that we extended it out for a year. So I have a whole year before anything happens. So that's why I said I just step back and just kind of see. So I'm open for
All right,
whatever.
so she's unrealistic on the listing side. Is that what you're saying?
On every side. I mean, she's yeah, seriously, she doesn't want to move because that shock factor. And of course, I remember that was a consideration when I was on the other side doing loans, that if that happens, even the lender is going to be a little concerned about, well, what is this going to be like if she hasn't paid rent in forever, and now all of a sudden she's got to start paying something.
Yeah, must be nice. We all can't live in our grandma's basement anymore. We all got to pay rent, pay for our housing. But anybody have context for her? Anybody have any suggestions on dialogue or what you would say to this pesky client?
So, Cynthia, it really sounds like she's scared because she's going from no rent to a purchase in one of the most competitive housing markets that there is. So I'd ask, did you have a buyer's consultation with her to go through the whole process and really help her understand like what's about to happen? Because it sounds like she's scared. And I don't know what she does for a living or the fact of like what the circumstances are. And while she's trying to take control, like that's the fear from her part. So, what I would recommend or advise you to do is meet her at that fear and help her remove that. Like, take away what's trying to like, take away everything about the market and trying to get the house ready and what she needs to do and like dial into it. Sounds like there's a fear here that I'm here to help you through. Like, I get it. And you are making a big life decision. And what's happening right now is because you're trying to hold on to everything, I'm not able to do my job. And there's a couple of things that can happen. You can either let me be there with you to guide you through it, or I'm going to have to step back because how you want to run this isn't going to work out in your favor from what I have seen. And if you meet her there and just let the conversation start from there, if she opens up, then you have your in to step right into the buyer's consultation, give her that guidance and show her that I'm going to be here to hold your hand through the whole process. It is scary, but I'm the expert. I've got a team behind me that's going to be able to pour into you. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that you get exactly what you need, but you got to let me help you. And if you stay right there, you've drawn your boundary, you've put her in her place, and you don't have to worry about trying to negotiate with someone who doesn't know this side of the process. And true, going from paying no rent to paying a mortgage in the Bay Area, like she should be afraid, right? So you stepping in and just loving on her a little bit is going to be the thing to win her over. And if she doesn't even want that, kick rocks and let her go. There's other people who need you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
God, I love that. Really quick, I guess I want some clarification here. How does she own the house and she's never paid rent? Did she inherit the house?
good question. Yes, she did. So,
Okay,
and
okay.
that's well, and then one other piece that's really it's really a bit of a stressful situation for me because on the other end, it was an inheritance, and she and her brother, where the brother is solid, he's ready to roll, he's ready to get this thing done over with, and the reality is that he can't really move forward because she and her son who's living in the house are not moving forward,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
it's really a situation.
It
And
really is. And you know what the root of this is? And I'm so glad that Blessing brought this up. The root of this is going to be emotional maturity on their part, but emotional acuity on your part. Being able to slow everything down and say, you know what, there's tons of emotion behind this with, obviously inheritance, with the fear of purchasing and now having a mortgage. Like there's so much emotional maturity that has to go into this purchase. That's why your emotional acuity needs to be at the highest that it can possibly be to slow everything down, take everything off the table, close all the books, close all the stats, and be like, listen, I understand how hard of a time this is going to be. So let's just have a very, very human conversation because I can hear what's going on. It sounds like there's fear and frustration. And I want to make sure that I understand what's going on so I can better serve you. Like, close the book and have a really, really heart to heart conversation with them. And I'm so glad that Blessing brought this up because this is all about emotional acuity to impact their emotional maturity. And I think that when we're there, all things will change in this relationships.
And I think one thing too is like when a client like that gets wishy-washy and they say they want to buy, they want to sell, they don't know. It's like have them talk to a lender to at least go over the numbers. Even if, at this sales price, this is what it would be. Because at first, they may not even realize what that payment is. How I see it, if they're not willing to run their credit, they're not serious. They'll go to Target and save 20% off to get a Target credit card, but they don't want to run their credit to buy a house. That means they're not serious, in my opinion. So taking a look at that, even seeing where that's a starting point, and if they keep giving resistance, then I agree. It's almost a point you got to cut the cord. And that's just could be a nurturing client. Maybe every month, check in, add them to an e-newsletter. And, that's pretty much, you have to just, like I said, cut the cord until they're really serious.
Totally. I love it. I love it. And let's go over to Dominique and then Cynthia, I'll come back to you to kind of hear, what your takeaways were from the contributions. Let's go, Dominique.
So now it makes a lot more sense now that I know that she inherited the house.
Yeah, I saw your comment. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense that she's acting like that because so my husband and I have flipped many houses. And in order to get those houses, we had to deal with people who inherited the houses. So that's the houses we were going for. A lot of the people, they're not, I get the emotional part, but a lot of it is just the money part. Once you start spitting numbers at these people, they have no idea what it takes to own and buy because they never did it. They inherited this, right? And so they don't know that aspect of the financial part. And they're really just all about money, like really at the end of the day. So once you spit all the numbers, you really have to make this a numbers game for them. Like beyond anything else, it has to be a numbers game, Cynthia. So I would just run so many different scenarios, numbers wise for her and send it over with detailed for each one and see if she jumps from that because people who inherit houses, they become greedy. And that's what it is. At the end of the day, it becomes about greed and money, and nothing else really matters after that. So really spinning that number game is going to make her budge. I guarantee you that. It's going to be the money part. So giving her scenarios about different numbers, if you sold at this price, this price, this price, and what she would get after, you know, her and her brother get the split. And really that's going to really make her move.
Yeah, I don't understand what happens with people when, I mean, my grandmother hasn't even passed away, and my aunt is already, you know, like already being shady. And but she doesn't know that my mom is on the deed. And so she's gonna have a rude awakening when my grandma does pass away, which I hope is way, way down the road. But I don't understand why people get greedy and why people just are grabbing at the bag when someone passes away. It's just weird. But Cynthia, let's go back to you. Key takeaways from what was shared, and then we'll go right over to Otis, Darnell, and then Sierra.
So key takeaways from what was shared is, I just want to be clear. I'm so sorry I left out that part because it was a really, you know, crucial part to the story. But I did all of that. Everything that we're talking about, I have done it all. And at this point, if they don't call me to say we're ready to go, I'm at the point where I'm just about ready to let it go, because and then one other thing that's really important, it was a mistake on my part. We filled out the application and there was a page that didn't get signed. So that set her off. You know, then she starts, you know, she questions, I thought you had 20 years experience. How long have you been an agent? And I said, well, I'm a new agent. I never did not disclose that. But I appreciate that you think I have 20 years experience as a real estate agent. I said, I'm not new to the industry. I just want to be clear about that. So with all things said, they have faith in my ability to get the job done. It's just that fear is bigger than, and it's fear. And she is fear plus control and greed. So you take all of those and put them together, and this is where this situation is. You know, and I've done the numbers. So what else could I say?
Hey, Cynthia, tough scenario. Keep them, you know, keep them close to you in proximity, send them information, follow up with them, but don't spend effort, time, and energy trying to convince them, because it's not our job. Our job is not to convince anybody why they should buy or sell. It's our job to continuously find the people that are ready to go. And when they're ready to go, we're here to serve them. And the people that are not, those are the people that we're following up on, keeping them in our campaigns and keeping them in our newsletters.